There's an odd creepiness to being alone in a game, more specifically, being alone in an older game, even if it's not the game's original intention to be scary. I know this, you probably know this, and dozens of indie devs have capitalized on this. Growing up, a lot of us played Super Mario 64 and realized that when our older brother wasn't in the room playing with us, there was a kind of isolating feeling to the game, a strange, scary ambiance that clearly wasn't intended but still made it in. All these elongated hallways and empty castle chambers, something just felt off, man. No Players Online attempts to achieve this feeling on purpose, but not in a platformer. The story centers around the development of an abandoned online FPS. If you've ever fired up a single-player match in the original Halo just to get a glimpse of the maps, you might have already on some level experienced what NPO wants you to feel. That somber emptiness that comes with being by yourself in a place clearly meant for more than just you. There was a prototype version of this game released all the way back in 2019. It took roughly 15 minutes to complete, and I'm going to be completely honest, I am not an unbiased party when it comes to No Players Online. The original version was the game that got me into making YouTube videos. My review of the original game is my very first upload, and the first line of that video is also the first line of this video. But trying my best to put that aside, I'll just come out and say it. I loved the rare atmosphere that the original prototype achieved, and I was hoping for an organic expansion of that. Well, the full version of No Players Online is definitely more of a complete package than its original version, but the ways in which it branches out are not going to resonate with everybody. No Players Online's full version has plenty of creative ideas and amusing mechanics, but if you were expecting just haunted Halo, you could very well be disappointed. NPO is not content staying in one place. It's not so much about a haunted old-school FPS as it is haunted internet. Even if the FPS itself remains the focal point, it's a very goofy game, and I don't necessarily mean that in a negative way. This game made me laugh harder than any other game this year. More on that in a bit. Perhaps NPO's most interesting new feature is the ability to combine games together, because yes, the story is communicated through multiple self-contained games this time around. Similar to Hypnospace Outlaw, you'll explore an in-game internet. From here you can download demos from aspiring game devs on forums or blogs. These give you insight into the characters that make these games in the first place. Some of the users on these forums are so comedically well written, I had to just take a moment. If you've spent any reasonable amount of time on forums or even Discord servers, you've likely run into the personality archetypes No Players Online is clearly poking fun at. There's a furry that keeps role-playing with italic text while someone's trying to talk normally, an overconfident aspiring game dev that puts a cheesy signature at the end of every message, and a tired moderator that has to lock more forum threads than he would prefer. When you actually get around to playing these games, they are of mixed quality, and that's intentional as it's a way to show the competence of the characters and where they might be on their game dev journey. One is a basic first-person dungeon crawler while another is just Minesweeper. Combine these, however, and you have the worst game ever made. A grid-based real-time game where you have to avoid these mines. The timing on some of these levels is so tight that NPO got negative Steam reviews for it, but the developer has clarified that it's completely optional. This is but one example, and in the interest of preserving your sense of discovery, I won't name any of the other Fusion games. I will say though, what produced the biggest laugh from me in No Players Online was a little minigame called 22 Summer Days, a dating simulator where you play as a timid high schooler who slowly works up the courage to ask his crush out. Their chemistry seems cute at first, and things are going swimmingly, yet the final thing she does is lambast you for pirating the game, and you automatically get the bad ending. Great stuff. I've mentioned multiple minigames so far, but it should go without saying that yes, the original eerie map we've come to love from the 2019 prototype still plays a large role both in the story and in moment-to-moment gameplay. You'll modify the map with these crystals, and each time you do, you can go through the map again and uncover something new to progress the story. The supernatural elements of No Players Online are not subtle or used sparingly. Very quickly you'll come to gripes with the fact that nothing is normal. There's hardly a slow inclination towards horror over time. Things start and stay pretty creepy. Your computer just straight up lets you do cultic rituals, for Christ's sake. There is no shortage of indie games these days that want to provoke an interest in an underlying mystery. Games that slowly unravel an elusive story over time, or maybe even just give you a few key pieces of a story and let you do the theory crafting. No Players Online's concept was a lot more novel in 2019, but it still seems very comfortable throwing its hat in this very competitive ring, and I do respect it for that. Without giving too much away, the game revolves around an aspiring game dev named John and his lady love, Sarah. You'll get brief snapshots of their life through flashbacks and online sleuthing. The story has its moments, but if you're expecting something that'll really tug at the heartstrings, I regret to say that there wasn't anything in NPO that screamed Story of the Year for me. I don't feel as if the two main characters the story revolved around really grew on me in any significant way. The way in which the story is communicated is interesting, however, and for many, I think this might be enough to overlook the lack of impact the narrative might have. There are multiple endings, so if you're really curious, digging through everything this game has to offer will yield more for the curious. But if you're like most people, you'll probably just watch a lore video that compiles all the secrets for you. I want to point out that in the 6 years that have passed since the original game, I have gotten a condo, friends, 35,000 subscribers, sponsorships, a decent day job, engaged, and perhaps most importantly, Nobby. Despite the gripes with the game I've raised in this video, I will forever be thankful for No Players Online for being the thing that started my YouTube career. From the emptiness of its world and the lack of other players, forcing you to pay attention to creepy minute details, like the hissing of an old TV, or the wind that you hear when first starting up the game. If you were thinking about getting into content creation or any dream job for that matter, there is never a perfect moment to get the ball rolling. Just start, man. This video is your excuse to begin. No Players Online's full version is not the organic expansion of the original Haunted Halo aesthetic that I wished it was, instead delving into other games, and perhaps being so meta it loses focus at times. With that being said, there are plenty of neat ideas showcased here, and for the most part they land. If nothing I've said here sounds like a deal breaker for you, I think No Players Online will very comfortably satisfy that meta horror itch you might have, and it'll make you laugh more than you'd think it would. Thanks to the patrons that allow me to do this, including Mike, Wind, Melody, Nate the Great, and Hidden. I appreciate you guys more than words can communicate. Consider joining the Patreon if you'd like, if you want to see videos a bit earlier than everybody else, and I'll see you next time. Booba.